Welcome to Outside is Magic, a podcast about the intersection of creativity and the outdoors. I'm Christopher San Agustin, a creative director and founder of Broken Coastal. For this first episode, I sit down with Portland-based frame builder and friend Ira Ryan. Being that this was the first episode, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. We ended up huddling around one mic and my laptop. A fun bit of history, Ira built my first custom road bike, and I was his first customer when he returned building under the name Ira Ryan. We talk about craft, balance, identity, and what it means to build a life and a bike under your own terms. So let's jump in. Here's my conversation with Ira Ryan. All right, we're rolling. Thanks, Ira, for coming over and joining me on this first episode of the podcast.
It's funny. Do I look at you or do I look at this thing?
I don't know. We can do whatever. Because, I mean, I think
I'm gonna talk to you because you're a human.
Yeah, I think like the audio component will be like the bigger part anyways. But I'm gonna record like an intro probably.
Cool.
And so we'll just kind of jump in. And I have prepared some questions for you.
I'm all for the jumping in,
Okay.
like deep end of the pool style.
All right. And these ones are like not easy, so just feel free to, take your time or whatever, or whatever you're feeling.
I just need to walk. I need to walk and think about this. I'll be back in 20.
All right. So at this point in your frame building journey, do you feel that the bikes you make now are like a real reflection of like who you are as like an artist, like as a person, in 2025?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're definitely a distillation or like a reflection of my 20 years of doing this, which is cool. It's funny because I don't want to like discredit the bikes that I built initially, like earlier, but every bike that I build is like better than the bike that I built before it. Totally. So it's like I kind of see everything. I see everything in like an artistic lens, and there's an arc to the story and the brand and the process and like the refinement of everything I do. And so, yeah, it feels there's no destination. It's just sort of a journey, and I try to be open to expressing kind of like what I put into each bike in the moment, but I also try to build on, I'm making a commodity, right? It's like I'm making something tangible that needs to hit like the baseline requirements for technical aspects and like quality and craftsmanship. And so, but not seeing myself as like a factory.
Yeah.
So it's always like a balancing act of like how to navigate that. But yeah, the bikes I build now are in so many ways the best bikes that I've ever made. Yeah. So it's cool to sort of look back and at 20 years of building frames and be able to like have some stoke on that.
Yeah. Have you ever actually like done like an audit and like looked back at all of this big body of work that you've done and like kind of like comb through it and kind of like seeing how you've grown? Have you ever done that?
A little bit. I'm a very visual person, so I don't necessarily have like a system of like quality control metrics that I can like. I'm not like looking back through forums or anything like that. But it is. I do track. I have kept like a visual representation, or like I take photos of every bike I've done, or like through the process. And those all live on Flickr, which is like kind of crazy to think I have this like archaic, an archive of Flickr documentation of every frame I've done. And it is interesting to see the bikes that I'm building now, I will build. It's great because I kind of go back and forth between building like a very classic like 1970s style lugged road bike with beautiful fork and all the trimmings, and then the next bike I'll build will be like a flat mount like adventure bike with fillet brazed and carbon fork and all of wireless Di2 and all the stuff. So it's nice to be able to kind of go back and forth, and I can't really, looking back at what I've done in the past, there is a consistency, like everything is related. So it's nice to sort of see like a through line stylistically and construction wise with what I've done in the past. But it is cool to like be challenged by new standards and new stuff.
Maybe one day you'll have to do like a tabletop book or something.
I have an obsession with zines, I think, which is also kind of what makes me appreciate like what you do and like how you present yourself and like the creative aspects that you share with the world around you and your community, like that's it all feeds on each other. Like I see what you do, I'm like, oh, I want to work on this graphic, or I want to like make a zine, or I want to make
Yeah.
stuff that isn't just like bicycles.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like can't do everything at once, I guess.
Yeah, and it like none of it that doesn't fit with my ADHD brain. I'm like all over the table. I'm like all over the shop. Like, what do I
Yeah.
want to do? Like, where my heart and brain wants to go is a lot different than,
Yeah.
like, or where my heart wants to go is oftentimes like a different trajectory than where my brain needs to go.
Yeah.
Like, what I need to do to like get bikes out to customers and like do all of the stuff that isn't necessarily fun, but yeah, it's an adult balancing act, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got diagnosed with ADHD recently.
Really?
And have you found anything that helps manage that? Because I feel like I struggle with that still.
Yeah. I have kind of gotten I not as consistent with it as I was like a year or like in the last couple of years, but I've always meditated on some level.
Oh, cool.
Meditation, exercise is really important. I'm a Weimaraner. Like I need to be like run and exercised, and
Yeah.
like if I don't exercise or like have some like kind of intense amount of like physical activity, I kind of go crazy.
Yeah.
And it's not good for my brain, right?
Yeah.
But it's also hard to justify in the moment. Like today, it's like the sun is shining, like I should go for a run, or I should go for a ride, or I should do like
Yeah.
I know I need to do those things, but I'm like I got to make bikes and I got to fold the
Yeah.
laundry, and I want to be here for this podcast, and like so it's I get overwhelmed and a little paralysis with
Yeah.
all of the different options. So,
Totally.
but yeah, trying to strike a balance is good.
Yeah. I've been trying something recently with my coach was like setting up a morning routine because for me exercise is important too. And I always feel like, oh, I have to do like a 10-mile run or I have to do a mountain bike ride. But now I'm just doing like 1 mile every day in the
Yeah.
morning. And like I can go further, but if I just do 1 mile, I feel better. Like I did 2 miles this morning, I feel great. And it's made such a big difference in like just setting up that habit.
Yeah.
It's been great.
There's a book that I read a couple years ago. I think the author's name is James Clear, and the book is called Atomic Habits. Have you heard of this?
I'm trying to think about, is that the book that I recently bought? I don't think so, but I've heard of it.
It's cool. The one of the takeaways that I got from it is like basically what you're saying. It was like you can just build a routine and like
Yeah.
go like run a mile,
Yeah.
And there's like talking about how to establish good healthy habits.
Yeah.
Because we're all habitual creatures, right?
Yeah.
We're not any different than the sort of the lion that's like pacing back and forth in its cage in some ways. But yeah, so like I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna exercise for 5 minutes. Like you
Yeah.
just tell yourself that you have to go and do it, and it's like just establishing those actions. They seem really small, but they're super crucial to like building
Yeah.
something that's better for your brain and for your heart.
Totally. I wonder if that's like something that comes later in life too. Is like when you're younger, you're just like,
Yeah,
send it.
yeah. Don't have kids. Like, like I think I've seen this a lot with other adults. Like you have this luxury to like not to just sort of like live your life the way you want, and then as soon as you start adding responsibility to that, like a job, being self-employed, having a kid, having kids,
Yeah.
family, work, and there's all the trappings with all the
Totally.
things that we like to do in our lives. But yeah, they add up. And so you have to be more adopting systems and like strategies to how to cope with that so that
Yeah.
you are a balanced human being in a
Yeah.
human world is kind of important.
Yeah. How does having a child affect your life right now?
I mean, it's great. It's complicated.
Yeah.
There's really good stuff, and there are things that are harder. Yeah, I think, yeah, like having a kid is awesome. My kid is rad. She's a good kid. She's pretty well adjusted. She likes bikes. Yeah, yeah, it's a process. The arc of like trying to make a good human in the world is kind of like that's a big project, and it's not like what I'm doing right now in this moment, but it is important to sort of have like a balanced mindset with it. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the ultimate project.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't want to like my goal with her is to like create somebody I want to create my goal with everything is to make the world a better place by like the bikes that I make and the interactions that I have in my community and like on a human scale and the tiny human that I'm like helping to raise. So it's like making good humans who make good choices and like are healthy, happy people. That's
For
the
sure.
key.
Yeah, like I guess like when you make a bicycle, like what do you're saying that you want to make the world a better place? Like is there anything else that like when you make a bicycle like that you hope when it goes to that customer like how it affects their life or brings to them or brings to the world?
Oh, fully. Yeah. Making sort of the process of making a bike or through the process of designing it, building it sort of it's a collaboration with the person who's going to be owning it, riding it, enjoying it. And then when it goes to them, that's like the start of its life. So then I mean, I still talk to people that have been that I built bikes for 17, 15, 20 years ago, and it's awesome. It's cool to see that here is this relatively simple object that has allowed a lot of personal experiences, like human experiences in the world, and that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's just like riding around town, or if it's has been around the world, or been across the country, or rides up over mountains. I feel very, very strongly that bicycles can save the world if we just sort of like if we as a culture could like realign our intentions on a human scale. I think there's so much goodness that the bicycle can do in the world. And I feel it's funny like being on a like uttering this out loud outside of my skull is really funny because I feel so cheesy sometimes. I feel like a Bike Portland bumper sticker, like, or maybe not even Bike Portland, but just like some like overly schmoopy like bikes can save the world sort of attitude. But I really do feel that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's because bikes have changed both our lives in very meaningful ways.
Yeah, like bicycles are a tool that allow us to experience the world in like in a really specific way. And like different tools, right? Like a mountain bike is a totally different tool than a road bike or a city bike. I mean, you can't argue that like every bike is a gravel bike, but and it is on some degree, but it makes me appreciate like the people that are out in the woods, just like having this amazing experience out in the woods. It's like totally disconnected from the human scale, like the human world around them. And it also makes me appreciate seeing like some shitty old Fuji with like a bike rack and like a milk crate strapped to the back that is, you can see by it how it's used and worn, that like that thing gets ridden every single day regardless of weather. It's just like that consistency. It's cool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel like running like you're really connected with the earth and then bicycling is like that next level of being connected with the earth. You're still on like a mechanical thing, but someone made it and you're propelling it with your energy and then yeah, like obviously the cars are so far beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like anything that is human powered is, yeah, I just think that it's kind of like a like a scale down or like scale back view of how I want to sort of like align my life and how I think it would be beneficial for other people to align their lives in like in a human scale.
Totally.
I mean, yeah, even I think a lot about like what I would do if I weren't building bikes, and I would probably build boats actually. Like
Hell yeah.
not, not big boats, not like yachts or anything like that, but building something is like also powered by humans, built by human hands, powered by human power, or I mean, even on a bike, you can get pushed along by the wind, or you have gravity to work with you. Same thing for boats. You could float down a river. There's like a connectivity to the natural world that I think we're too far separated from that. So it's like thinking about ways to sort of like come back to that and perpetuate that is important to me.
Yeah, the concept of like human power is going to be even more important moving forward with AI and everything. I think there's in like this big 360 where it's like everything goes AI for a minute, and then quickly people are going to be really gravitating towards physical things that were handmade.
Yeah, I think you see that now, and it makes me really grateful to live in a place like Portland where, I mean, you could, all of the Portlandia skits you can think of are like coming up, simmering up to the top of like my sarcastic brain. But yeah, like living somewhere where you are surrounded by like-minded people, and there is that that connection to like a human scale and a natural world, and is still relevant here, which I think is cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
I've been having a lot of conversations with like brands recently about like how to connect with their customers.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's interesting about what you do is like it's built into your process. Like your whole business is around that connection with the customer. Like these bigger brands like spend millions of dollars to try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like every time you have a new customer, like you're making a lifelong customer essentially.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so, I think that's probably one of my favorite aspects of my job and my vocation, is that I have an ability to understand the person who I'm making this thing for with. I see it as I definitely see it as a collaborative process, which feels really empowering. Um, yeah, we're so like there's so many walls to disconnect us from the the world around us, and it's like there is this deep human desire to like reconnect with that, right? Like
Yep.
we all, I don't know, I'm making a generalization, but a lot of people complain about social media and like how it's used, and yet at the same time, like I spent 15 minutes like rubbing my phone this morning, like what's up, what's up with the world around me. And it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's just we're habitual creatures, so like creating ways to engage that kind of break some of those habits, it takes energy and it takes intention, but I also see the benefits of it are really great.
Yeah. Do you have any like values or philosophies written down that kind of drive what you're doing right now? Like,
I
I'm
don't
just curious, is it all in your head or like have you ever like really put it down on paper and like this is like what I'm building for?
That's never really, no, it doesn't, it does just sort of exist in my head. That's actually something that creating systems and having a little bit more intention around it, like having more focus, is something that was really great about my experience. The 10-year period in the middle of my overall career where I was working at Breadwinner, just making something a little bit bigger, making a project that is a little bit um, not disconnected from the human experience, but engaged my brain in a little bit more systems oriented way. So like having a mission and having like intention, and yeah, making something that was a little bit bigger than just me and like my crazy artistic maker brain. That was really helpful. So it's something I've tried to, it's kind of like you were talking about wanting to have like a palette and like a stock of ingredients and flavors to sort of pull from and to be able to add to, and kind of they're all in your pantry, and they sort of represent like a complexity, all the different facets of like how you want to have your brand, but how you mix those in is like says a lot,
Yeah.
I think about the creative process and like what I do in terms of cooking and flavors and spices, and just like that creative medium is a great analogy metaphor for me. So
If Breadwinner was a brand and company, like what would you consider like Ira Ryan Cycles?
it is a brand. Um, it's interesting, like been in therapy for a long time, but I'm not currently, but just thinking about like my relationship with my brand and like myself and my identity and how that all interplays. And it feels really good to be in a place now in my career where I can acknowledge that I am the brand. I am the person that makes it and does it and perpetuates it, but at the same time, it doesn't consume me in the same way that it used to. So yeah, it was good to sort of it feels really good to be where I'm at now, and part of that is like having been at Breadwinner and sort of seeing how to make something a little bit bigger. It's also interesting to see like where social media was in the during that time, like Instagram had just started. I'm not on Facebook at all, but like there was a lot of yeah, it's just interesting to see how like all of that the digital engagement side of that world and like how it's shifted. And I actually want to like pull back from it. Like if it were up to me, I would like not be engaged digitally and I would just like make zines and you want something from me, send me a self-addressed stamped envelope and I'll mail you something. You know, I like that, but it's hard to scale it up.
Yeah.
So it's like this balancing act of like how to make that work. But
Yeah, do you feel like you have to do marketing or do you have like enough, like you're busy enough, like kind of like Richard Sachs, right? Like that guy has like years out waiting list and he has like such like a thing around him that,
oh yeah. Yeah. I mean I do market, but it's not I don't have like a I don't have a calendar. I don't have a formula to it really. I just have yeah, I don't really market. I think that I just try to do what I do in in like a balanced way, in a sustainable way. I mean, I think living within my means,
Mhm.
both as a person, as a human person, and as a business is like that's really key to me. So I work from home. I am in the process, or I've bought my house. Bank owns my house, but like I'm buying my house, and I have a shop at home. So just having that like that overhead be contained is like a really sustainable way to sort of grow my business and operate as a human. I want to live within my means, and I think that
Cool.
that's like a it's a it's a it's like a natural balance that I see in the world. Like you look around the entire like a balanced ecosystem has everything it needs to sort of contain itself and like operate in a healthy, balanced way. And I kind of want to, that's kind of like my business model is I
Yeah,
want to like, I want to sustain myself in an ecosystem that allows me to do all the things that I want to do, but I also have pretty balanced uh, expectations for what that is.
totally.
So, and it's easier to do that when it's me by myself, and I can make that happen.
Totally. Do you feel like you're in a good place right now or you feel like there's room to grow?
Um, I'm largely a creature of habit, and so I want to grow. And I think I have to push myself to do that. I'm comfortable. Like I have orders, I have enough work for the next like 10 months, which is great. It's going to get me through the maid show, and I've been doing this long enough that I don't freak out if I don't get an order for a couple of months or a couple of weeks. You know, I don't panic necessarily. If anything, it's like a good there's a there's a natural feedback to have to like hustle a little bit to like sell a bike or to build some bikes and just sort of like keep the process going.
Yeah,
To keep the cycles, pun intended, I guess, to keep the cycles going in like cash flow and production and um, yeah, like projections. But I'm not. Yeah, I'm in a sweet spot right now. It's good.
yeah.
Um,
Do you have like an urge to make anything else though beyond bikes? Because you talked a little about boats and zines and
yeah, I mean, I bought a TIG welder a couple like a I don't know a year ago, and it's just like a really small little TIG welding setup, and I want to kind of get better at that. I want to challenge myself to like be able to learn how to use a welder a little bit more proficiently, um, and then maybe incorporate that into like my frame building world. Um, yeah, it feels good to make tools in the shop that are going to make the process of what I do on a daily basis easier and smoother. So, like last a week and a half ago, I made a tubing bender that um, has just like a nice. It's like a 3.5 or 4 inch. It's like a 4 inch diameter bender, and it just has this like really nice shape. Which is something like those like small little design aspects that I like about certain racks and certain accessories.
Mhm.
Like it's nice to be able to like I've wanted that for a long time, and it's so it feels good to be able to just like I'm just gonna take a day, I'm gonna make this thing, and
Yeah,
it's gonna allow me to sort of this is gonna be like a stylistic aspect that I'll be able to kind of throw into the mix whenever I want.
totally.
Yeah.
When was like the last time you got like stuck? Like, do you get creative blocks and things like that?
I don't. It's funny because I make a commodity, right? It's like I talked to my friend Matt Hall, who's this amazing artist, and he and I have been friends for a very, very long time, like 20 years, 20 plus years. And we've used to race cyclocross together. We used to do mountain bike races and mountain bike all the time. Like, and we're still friends. We're like best friends. Well, he's my best friend. I can't say that I'm his best friend. But we talk a lot about the creative process and like what what we get hung up on and what works and what doesn't work. And yeah, I get stuck between projects. I think that's the thing that hangs me up the most. Like when I finish a project, it takes a lot of momentum to sort of start the next one. But by and large, it's like motivated by cash flow or like just the logistics of like okay, I literally have to pay my mortgage or I have to pay, I gotta pay my bills in the next 2 weeks. So I sort of like who I need to design a bike and I need to sort of like start that design process and sort of keep the money coming in. And that doesn't like warm my heart, but it is part of the discipline of running a business and making it sustainable that I think is really important.
Yeah.
So,
Is it like mental exhaustion or is it physical or both?
it's like a state of overwhelm,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of associated with, like having had issues with depression in the past and ADHD, depression, ADHD, anxiety, all like they all overlap and like have this interesting relationship with each other. And so like navigating that on a human scale it's just interesting to see like, oh, okay, I'm struggling with this. Like I need to get I need to get off my ass and do a design or build this frame or kind of just like keep things going. And as soon as I pick up a file and cut a tube, then it's just like, then it all just like comes, which is great. And so I need to like focus on step number two and not step number one. Like the anxiety of step number one gets in the way of knowing that it's going to be better if I just kind of keep things going
Totally.
by step number two. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Do you ever get stuck?
Oh my God. It's just a constant battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get over it?
I'm still figuring it out. Because like I get paid to be creative and sometimes it's like I'm just like moving things across screens, but then other times it's like concepting and like having to have a deeper meaning. And that's just so draining, so draining. But yeah, I think like exercise, things like that definitely help.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still figuring it out. It's tough.
I mean, it's process, right?
Yeah.
It's like meditation and finding about, yeah, like it's I want to do my job until I die.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't, and I'm okay with that. Like I've made my peace with like I have like a retirement account that has like $4,000 in it. Like that's not gonna get me very far in the future, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay like doing what I do on a regular basis to sort of to keep it going. But yeah, it's tricky to keep that going.
I mean, that's what's so cool about having your own company, though, because nothing in life is certain, especially now. But if you're able to live on your own terms, I mean, that's like the dream, right?
Yeah.
For a lot of people, at least.
Yeah. In 2009, uh, I went to Italy for 2 weeks. And I didn't realize it in the moment or like during that trip, but it was really, it, it showed me how you could kind of like live in a balanced way in terms of like doing something that you're having a career or doing something that you feel passionate about. Yeah, I mean the Italian, it's like Italy is the Mexico of Europe. Like there's a lot of dysfunction that sort of exists there, and it's complicated, but they do a good job of like taking breaks and like not pushing, and like they value certain aspects of life that I think are really great. So it was nice to sort of come back and be like, okay, I'm not going to work like 12 hours every day of the week to sort of make this happen. I want to live in a way that I can, like, how can I work and value my time and make something that's special and at the same time, like have time to enjoy it and have time to sort of like find a balance with that. So,
yeah. So speaking about that, that's what I'm interested in knowing. Like, if you had all that written down and it was like, and it made sense to you, I'm kind of wondering if that would help with your process overall. Like, kind of having like those rules identified a little bit, or do like you just thrive in like knowing that you can just go with the flow?
I think I don't I journal a little bit, but it's not I think I do it more as just a practice. But yeah, I don't necessarily have like a mission statement, you know, and things that I like affirmations that I focus on a daily basis. They're woven into the fabric of who I am as a person. And I think they're just constantly there. It's just part of my values as a maker, as a person, as a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really just understanding like who you are as a human. And then that is like your company, your brand.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean it's a tricky relationship. When I started, yeah, it like I started my business, I launched my business in 2005, and I built one frame, and then I went to Iowa and I raced. And at that time I was like a messenger part-time, and I had been a racer, and I was doing these just like crazy long exploratory rides in Oregon. And I went back to Iowa in March of 2005 and raced that frame the first frame I ever built, unpainted, and raced it in the Trans Iowa, which was this race. I can't even remember how long it was, like 350 miles or something like that, basically across the entire state. And it was gravel and mud roads, and it was crazy. And that was like I I finished first. Um and it was awesome. Headphone earbuds in, like listening to Justin Timberlake and like shitty dance music the whole way across the state at like 3 a.m. And you get to the finish and it's like there's nobody there. They're just like, yay, you won. It's like that was gravel racing like back then. And yeah, and then I did that again in 2007. So and then the Rafa Continental started, which was this awesome project that Daniel Paisley started in like 2008, 2009. And so I was like super involved with that, and it was great. Like all helped build the brand. And I mean, that time in the cycling world in Portland, it was like the golden era, right? It was just magic. But my identity was like so wrapped up in it. I was like, who am I? So, and then from that kind of led into the breadwinner project, which was 10 years going, which was I joke that was like my longest relationship. And then that kind of wound down and shifted back into this. So it's like, it went from like forming my identity as a cyclist and as a frame builder into like fully, like that was like totally my identity with Rafa. And I was like not my best person, but you don't realize that in the moment.
Yeah.
And now after years of therapy and having a kid and getting divorced and depression, all these fun things, yeah, now I feel like I'm in a really great space where I can look back and be like, oh, I did all those things and those are part of who I am, but it doesn't like identify me in who I am right now.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to like pick from those things and mix them in, but
Totally.
do other things.
If we were to like sit down 10 years from now, like where would you like to have been and done? Like be as a person?
Like looking back, where would I like to be like now in this moment? Or
Yeah, looking back, like what would you have been proud of knowing that you did, I guess, in those 10 years?
I mean, I think what makes me most proud is it would just be a continuation of what I've been focused on, where it's like pouring myself in a sustainable way into the arc of my craft, and finding balance in a human scale, that where it's like I'm making I'm making the best bikes that I possibly can, and people are still riding them. People will love them. Um, and I'm also making a small human who also likes bikes and like is a well-adjusted 17-year-old. Yeah. And yeah, like own my house, take care of the space that I live in, take care of like the community that I'm involved in. Yeah, who knows? I mean, 10 years, maybe it'll be like Mad Max, like a Mad Max slash Matrix mashup where it's like living in a digital alternate reality, but there's still like, there's still aspects of like you need to know how to like farm and fish and overhaul a carburetor and defend yourself against crazy zombies.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully not. How about like one small or like meaningful habit that you've kind of learned recently or in the past years that have made a big impact on you?
Taking care of myself. Like, I think meditation, I think the term self-care gets thrown around a lot. Um, but for a long time, I was like a people pleaser and would tend to like not value my, like not take ownership and value like who I am in the world. And it feels really good to be at a space where I'm all like, it's like, am I taking care of myself? Am I like making time for myself? Do I have balance in my life? So finding time for that is really important.
Yeah.
So it's something that, yeah, something that I think has been, it's a like a newish thing for me, but it's been really helpful.
Yeah. And then I think this will be like the last big question. Is there anything that like really excites you right now that like makes you glow and just
Oh,
super happy?
politics.
Oh no.
Um, I'm kind of a political junkie. I'm totally joking about that. It
Okay.
does not make me happy right now. But uh, yeah, kind of like an eyes wide open kind of situation. Yeah, I see a lot of potential with the world around me and around like my community of
Mhm.
people, like not just like a physical, locational, regional community, but also the people that I connect with and the people that I have a strong connection that I feel like identify with in a lot of ways through work, through culture, through sport, through like a sense of like unifying identity. I think
Mhm.
that's been really helpful. So I feel it's crazy. Like the world is fucking on fire right now, and I also see so much potential with
I like that.
like yeah, that there's a lot of good energy that
Mhm.
is showing up right now, and that feels really good. I just took in January went to Belgium for 10 days and which is I loved it. It's not the best time to go to Belgium for most people. But yeah, it made me come back and want to sort of like build a medieval wall around the city of Portland
Mm.
and like or just around my community. Like
Mhm.
I wanted to sort of like insulate it and like really just invest in it
Yeah.
in a way that is going to grow it. So that felt that I'm kind of continuing in that vein right now, which feels
Yeah.
really good.
I love that. All right, I think that's it. I mean, if there's anything else you
Oh man, we can
we
keep
get to
going.
keep going. I know. Like we didn't even touch a lot of, there's like a lot of stuff, but we'll have to just do this again.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do really like being in other people's spaces. So you're like, I know when we were starting this conversation, it was like, I think it would have logistically, it probably would have been easier to sort of like
Yeah.
do it in our own space. But I think that seeing how seeing what you sort of surround yourself with, literally, like a industrial sewing machine and these like cool bags and just graphics and art, and it's really. I think that that's a when you work by yourself in your own space, it's like I love it. I'm like a probably the most extroverted introvert
Hmm.
that I know. Thank you, coffee. But it is cool to see how other people operate and sort of like what's inspiring. So that's something that
Yeah.
it's cool to be in your space.
I think there's something into that actually. Like maybe that'll have to be like every month or something you visit a new space and do the podcast there or
Yeah.
something.
I think like, I mean, especially for people that are makers, designers, or I can go a little like woo woo about this, but like there's like a visual, tactile, like you're using all your senses in a
Yeah.
space, right? And so I feel like walking into someone else's space or being in another space, I kind of like pick up all these
Yeah.
just the vibe of everything. I think vibe gets overused a lot, but I do love the word. But yeah, I think it's inspirational. And so it's cool to see like kind of feed off of that and give like you're giving something up and you're sort of expressing your vulnerability by having me in your space.
Yeah.
And it's cool to sort of like I feel when I come away from a space from that sort of experience, I'm always inspired in like other different ways.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah. Like when I left your space, I was like, oh my God, it's fucking so cool.
Right. And I'm like, I'm in there every day.
Yeah.
I kind of just see like the piles of stuff and
Hmm.
it's like, but it was also when I was setting up shop, I was very intentional about like putting up things that were inspiring. I love being in bike shops. Like it's so fucking weird. Like I've been working in bike shops my entire life since I was a teenager, and it still makes me happy to walk in. Not a bike store, but like a bike shop. Like you go into like City Bikes or someplace where there's just like it's kind of disheveled, like tools are like have grease marks all over them. There's like just things about being in someone's space that in a working space that I think are really cool.
That is cool.
So last week I went and visited my friend Benjamin Campbell, who he, as a hobby, he does ceramics. Cool. And he has since he was in high school. And I went to go visit his like shared ceramic space. And it was awesome. It was just really cool to sort of see that, have that experience.
Yeah. And you can buy books of other people's spaces, but you have to be there to really feel that presence, like you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a human scale, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to ride your bike over there or run over there, see the space, and then run home. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. That's our show for today. If you like this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. All of it really helps out. If you have any questions about creativity, process, or anything in between, please drop a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'd love to hear from you. You can follow along at Broken Coastal on Instagram and YouTube. Subscribe to my newsletter. It's absolutely free. A weekly dose of inspiration at the intersection of design and outdoors. I think you'll love it. Thanks for being here. Cheers.